Hi everybody, in this video I'm going to walk you through how to do hook-lying rocking chair. And for hook-lying rocking chair you can do it without any equipment, but my advice would be to choose one or other of the things that I'm about to describe. So if this is your first time doing the exercise, then I recommend trying both of them. They're slightly different exercises. They wake up different things through your legs, but you'll probably find that one feels more effective for your body. And by effective, it means difficult. So one of them is going to feel more difficult, and I want you to try and do the difficult one more often, because that's showing you that you're challenging ranges of movement and muscles that you don't normally. So your options are that you can do hook-lying rocking chair with a yoga block or with a folded up cushion. That's going to wake up your inner thighs more. Or alternatively, you can use your fabric resistance band around the outside of your thighs. Or if you don't have a fabric resistance band, you can use a yoga strap around the outside edge of your thighs. So I'm going to demonstrate both of these for you today. But as time goes on, you will probably find that you sort of sway to one more than the other. It's extremely rare that I would teach hook-lying rocking chair without a strap or a block, because it just makes it more effective. So I'm not going to do that today, although technically speaking, there's no reason why you can't. I'm also going to use a cushion, and you might need 2 or 3 cushions, and I'll walk you through why that is. So we're coming to our hook-lying position. So toes, ankles, knees and hips in alignment, making sure that the toes are not wider than the ankles. So we're trying to keep those feet on our parallel train tracks, middle of the second and the third toes in alignment with the front of the ankle, the knees and the hips. The reason that I've got my cushion just underneath my shoulder blades is that it's helping me stay grounded through the bottom of my rib cage, and it's helping me stay long through the back of my neck. So if I take the cushion away, what will happen is my rib cage is going to lift up. So the bottom of my rib cage is lifting upwards. There's a little bit of space between the bottom of my rib cage and the floor, or my head tilts backwards. So what might happen is if I pull my rib cage down, I then might compensate with my neck instead. So the rib cage and the neck are both compensations for a stiff upper back, basically. So in order to modify for that, what we want to do is use as many cushions as we need in order to feel like the bottom of our rib cage is firmly grounded on the floor, nice, and it's going to feel like a nice hammock when you've got this set up properly. And then my shoulder blades are supported by the cushion, and then the back of my neck stays long, so I'm not tilting the neck backwards. So have as many cushions as you need. You might have like 3 cushions, that's totally fine. To start with, we'll do this with the block. So I'm putting the block the medium way around for me, which is keeping my knees at hip width distance apart. So if I use the other orientations of my block, my knees would be too narrow or too wide. So it's up to you to just use the one that suits you the best. My palms are facing up. I'm going to keep my face relaxed throughout. I'm going to breathe in and out of my nose and into the bottom of my rib cage. My belly stays relaxed here. We're going to squeeze the block, and we're going to maintain a squeeze into the block with our knees, and that's going to start to wake up the inner thighs, the adductors. So we're getting some kind of hip support here before we start the foot movement. From here, what we are going to do is draw the fronts of our feet back towards our shins. So this is dorsiflexion of the foot. So we're pivoting backwards onto our heels, and then we're placing the feet down. We're moving up into the balls of the feet as we lift our ankles up, and this is plantarflexion. So plantarflexion is probably going to result in cramp through the arches of your feet and your calves. And what dorsiflexion will do is wake up the fronts of your shins. So as you do this movement, and this is the rocking chair movement, we're doing it really nice and slowly. We're trying to get both feet moving at exactly the same speed. So you're probably going to have a dominant, more functional foot, which ironically is probably going to be the one that hurts because you overload it and avoid the less functional one. So you're going to take this really nice and slowly. You're imagining that each of your feet are sandwiched in between 2 panes of glass. so that you can't rotate through your ankles or through your toes. So a common compensation here is that people swing their toes outwards when they're doing the dorsiflexion, so they're kind of cheating. And then a common compensation when people come into plantarflexion is that the ankles go outwards whilst the toes go in. You are trying to keep the fronts of your feet, the balls of your feet, in alignment with the ankles throughout without there being any twisting. This is going to limit the kind of range of movement that you have because you're going to be doing it more functionally and with less compensation. So the breathing stays nice and calm, the face stays relaxed, we breathe in and out of our nose, our belly is relaxed, and really importantly here, there is no movement through my pelvis. So as I do this rocking of my feet, I'm not doing this. My pelvis and my spine are not reacting. The pelvis stays relaxed, it stays grounded, the lower back and the mid back stay grounded. The upper body, which is basically everything pelvis upwards, has nothing to do here. So you might notice that your belly is gripping or that you're clenching your face or that you're rocking with your pelvis, but that is your body compensating in your upper body because your lower body doesn't have the function. So the more that you wake up your feet and your legs, the less the upper body is going to have to compensate in the future. So that's what the Hooklying Rocking Chair with a block looks like. And then we're going to do exactly the same thing, but hook lying with a rocking chair with a strap. So I'm going to use my fabric resistance band, which is just my preferred thing for this type of exercise. The rules of this are the same. When we have the strap, it's a little bit easier to cheat, I think. So just bear that in mind. So we're squeezing out against the strap to start with. We're kind of setting up what we're asking our hips to do here. Toes, ankles, knees, and hips in alignment. And when we squeeze out with the strap, we're just really making sure that we're not lifting our big toe joints up off the floor. So for some of you, if you don't have the strength in your outer hips and your abductors, so this is what we're waking up this time, if you don't have the strength and the function there, you're going to compensate with your feet and you're going to lift the big toe joints up. So you're rotating with your feet rather than opening up with your hips. Feet stay firmly planted. We squeeze out against our yoga strap or our fabric resistance band. We feel these guys wake up, and then it's exactly the same rules. So we pivot back onto our ankles, nice and slowly, draw the feet down to the ground at the same time. Balls of the feet and the toes stay on the floor as the heels lift up. So we're moving through plantarflexion and dorsiflexion. We're trying to go really slowly here, really mindfully, trying to get the feet moving at the same pace so there's not one doing something different than the other. When we've got our strap, we maintain that squeeze out against it so our knees aren't collapsing inwards. Face stays relaxed, breathing stays relaxed, arms stay relaxed. There's no movement through your pelvis. There's no movement through your spine. There's no movement through the rib cage. Upper body is totally zen. There's nothing that needs to work here whatsoever. This is all about the feet and the legs feeding up into the hips. Remember, as we do the rocking forwards and backwards on the feet, we don't want those toes spinning out wide as we draw backwards into dorsiflexion. We don't want the ankles spinning out wide when we move up into plantarflexion. If you're really struggling with your lower back kind of staying on the ground without there being loads of tension through the abdominals to hold you there, draw your feet closer to your body. So if your feet are really far away from you, your lower back is going to want to arch way more, and you're going to have to then use way more force to pull that lower back down. Whereas if you draw your feet backwards, the lower back is just going to have a much easier time staying grounded without you having to have an enormous amount of pressure around your abdominals. So I'm very, very anti any cues about like squeezing the core and stuff like that. I really don't think it's healthy. I think it breeds tension in that area and it just leads to compensation through the abs. The abs don't really have anything to do here because we are kind of passive in our upper body. So yeah, this is how it goes. If you're interested, I would be choosing the strap version just because my glutes are on fire doing this. I can really feel how my knees want to come in, and that effort of keeping them straight really works the sides of my hips that I don't often feel. And I just have to make sure that I'm not lazy as I move up into the plantar flexion, because I tend to not move through the range of movement enough, and I avoid that little bit of cramp I should be getting in the calves, which is where we get the changes from. So that was Hooklying Rocking Chair. It's a great exercise for foot and ankle function. It's a great exercise for reconnecting the feet back to the muscles around the hips and the pelvis. And it is also a great exercise for pelvic and hip function as well. So really hope you enjoyed, hope you found that beneficial, and I'll see you again soon.